Hey guys, welcome to the Winning Move podcast. I'm your host, Stratton Brown. This is my friend, Steve Trang. Let me just list off a couple accomplishments. How big is your market share in Arizona as far as real estate agents goes?
Agents, we've down a little bit, so I think we're like 93, 94. We're not the 120 we were before, but I think for a good reason.
Right.
But our market share hasn't taken a dip. So we're about 0.78%, almost one, still almost one.
Right. Almost 1% market share. He owns a title company. He's probably the best sales coach in America. He's the one who put me onto the Sandler sales system. What else? He's got a great investment company that competes in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, one of the hardest markets in America. And what else am I missing, man? Am I missing anything? And you're a great dad. Your little girls are geniuses.
Thank you. That's not my hard work. That's someone else's hard work. But yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. So Let's just start off. I have so many questions for you, but let's start off how you got into real estate.
Yeah, I think like a lot of other people, Rich Dad Poor Dad was really something that was instrumental. Like you learn there's another way to get wealthy, and it's not working and killing yourself from the age of 25 to 65, right? To get a retirement. So I think that really opened my eyes. But even though it opened my eyes and I learned about real estate, I got distracted for several years because even though it taught me about real estate investing, I kind of went the wrong way and became a realtor. And I did that route for many years. So kind of took my eye, went the wrong way, went here and then went over there and didn't realize it because no one was in my ear that I was doing the wrong thing, that I was not following the original vision.
Yeah. And you were an engineer before, right?
I was an engineer before. Yep. Electrical engineer. Went to ASU, went to UC San Diego. Yeah, lots of fun.
And then what in the world made you get into real estate? Was it just Rich Dad Poor Dad?
It was Rich Dad Poor Dad, but then learning that, I think Rich Dad Poor Dad, if I just stuck with that and just stayed in engineering, it would have been great. And I have, other friends that want to have rental properties that still have jobs. And it's not really a terrible way, right, to have a W-2 and get rental properties. Like that's not so bad. It was really seeing how much I was making and seeing how much upside there was as a business owner. So I didn't get into real estate because I wanted to be a realtor. I got into real estate because I wanted to be a business owner where, at Intel, it didn't work. It didn't matter if I worked 25 hours a week or 80 hours a week. I was making $85,000 a year. That was it. Didn't matter how many hours you work. So the only way I can maximize my hourly rate was to be more lazy. So I would just take longer lunches, come in later and leave earlier. And that's what I did. That's the only way to increase your hourly rate. But as a business owner, there are lots of ways to increase your hourly rate. And that's what I learned. And, having someone tap your potential is what happens at a salary. But as a business owner, it's unlimited potential.
Unlimited potential. Well, all of your hard work is for nothing, right? I don't get the reason someone would work hard on a salary. Like, why would you work your ass off if there's no incentives, right? My girlfriend worked for a company called Aldi. And they have everyone on salary. She was the divisional manager, ran 4 different stores, was leading their northern expansion in California, right? And I was like, why are you working so hard? Like you're on salary and you're putting in 16-hour days. Like that's their company culture, right? Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they ingrain in you. They brainwash you.
Right, they brainwash you. But like, what's going on here? It didn't make any sense to me. Now she's going into self-storage and doing her own thing. But yeah, it's absolutely insane to me. So I want to start off, man. How in the world did you get your brokerage to be so damn big? Like, because there's plenty of brokerages that I know, no one has 100 agents. Like, I think Keller Williams here has 100 agents, but like no one else is that big.
Yeah, I think anything I do, I'm going to try to be the best at. I'm kind of competitive. And so what attracted people, because I started my own brokerage because I wanted to be left alone. Ultimately, right? Because being in a brokerage, they had to review all my advertising, they had to approve my advertising, and by the way, Steve, we're going to take a percentage of every single one of your deals. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So I'm going to go open my own brokerage. So really, it was not to get big. It was really just to stay small and just focus on my own thing, just stay in my lane and be left alone. If you look at a predictive index, right? That's the individualist, right? Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. But as I was having success, people were like noticing and seeing it and like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. Can you show me what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, we were licensed over. I'll show you the way. And I was just kind of that gradual progression people like, hey, I want that success. Like, I can teach you. I can teach you everything I know. And I basically was coaching. I just didn't realize what it was doing for me. Like the coaching skills I was learning have really helped me along the way as we've, transformed our careers to the next phase.
Right. And so how long did that take, man? Like, that's a long time.
It was a long grind, right? So like I started my brokerage in 2013, and it wasn't until 2018 that we launched a podcast. So there was about 5 years, and it took for 5 years is how long it took to get about 50 something agents. And it was really once we launched the podcast that we really blew up, because now we're everywhere. Now we're in everyone's faces.
Really? So Disruptors is what blew it up, blew it up.
Podcast blew it up further. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and as a matter of fact, today
doubled it.
We stopped recruiting. We made a decision to stop recruiting, but we still get people like, hey, I want to join your brokerage. I want to move my license. I want to move my license over. And my answer all the time is like, are you sure? Like, it's expensive. Right? Sandler, right? Are you sure? It's kind of pricey.
Do you want to do that? Like, always pulling away.
Yeah.
And so what made you even want to start it's the best real estate podcast, I think. I mean, my podcast is awesome, but like, you've brought on awesome people, and then it's just so high level compared to all the other stuff that like everybody listens to. Like, they're like, oh, how'd you do your first deal? And like, oh, well, I did this, and this. And then you go deep with them. Like, okay, well, what are you doing in here? What are you doing for this? How did you overcome this? And then obviously you take and implement it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. First, it was selfish, right? When I started it, because if I can fly someone in, it's really good. And now I get to pick their brains. Like, how awesome is that? Because most people, right? Like, hey, can I pick your brain? No. But
hell no.
Hey, can you fly in? We're going to do this in front of everybody, and then I'm going to learn from you, right? Can we do that? And people are generally okay with that. So, but the idea was really, I was at Dean Graziosi's event. It was Brendan Burchard on stage. Like, people want to hear your story. People want to hear your story. I was like, no one really cares about my story. But, he said, you should start a blog, which I did, and it sucked. You should write a book, which I did, and it sucked. And it's like, well, the third thing is podcast. I was like, well, let's start this podcast. Let's do it. See where it goes. If it goes anywhere, great. If it doesn't, well, I'm 0 for 3, no big deal. And so, and I remember that Saturday, he said, start a podcast. Wednesday after, I announced it. And then the week after that, we're up and running.
And at the beginning, it was like real estate agents mostly, wasn't it?
It was 50-50.
Well, it was a stronger mix. And now I feel like it's not a mix at all, really. There's no
mix at all, because, I look at the analytics, right? And it's just like, we hate MSNBC and we hate Fox News, right? We hate them because they're polarizing. But what are they doing? They're looking at their analytics. They're seeing what brings in ratings, and they're just doing more of that. So I looked at it. Wholesale, lots of views. Realtor, nobody cares. It's like, all right, well then let's stop bringing realtors on. Let's just focus on wholesaling and flipping.
And what was your first book? I didn't even know you wrote a book before this one you just came out with.
Yeah, it was selling your home for top dollar. And it was really just, it's a lead magnet, right? It's just something for someone to read before I show up. But, if I walked into a living room and I saw they had my book, like, it was a done deal, right?
Right.
I'll get the listing.
You're for sure getting the listing. Well, we can take it to I haven't told very many people this. I call you when I'm at my apartment and I'm just like starting to make a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I sent you a DM on Instagram because I'd been listening to your podcast, and I was like, bro, would you go to Raphael's event? And you're like, bro, just come to mine. Like, I suggest you come to mine.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I was that direct.
No, you were that direct, bro. And I remember you Sandlering my ass. I'm sitting out there on the steps.
Yeah, I did that. And I remember that.
You Sandler me, and I'm like, okay. And I gave you like a partial payment, like my tax return's coming eventually, man. Mm-hmm. I'll send that to you. And then I did that. And from that event, my entire network has been built. Like everyone I know, what's it called? Some people are commenting. Thanks, Michael, Kyle. Like, I met Daniel in there, and then everyone else I've met in there, a bunch of the podcast guests have all come from your first event, and we've all stayed pretty close.
Yeah,
from that first event.
I love networking. I love events because of these little groups that you can create. It's amazing what happens when you put a bunch of people, a bunch of entrepreneurs in a room together. You just never know what can come from it. So it's awesome. It's awesome to see.
Right. Well, I mean, I got Michael Ray, who I still talk to like once a week. We got JR. JR is absolutely killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is there? Charles. I still talk to Charles like every 2 weeks. And there's a couple other people who I stay in contact with who've helped me grow on top of joining your mastermind or whatever. And then I talk to them and like we've done some business stuff together. And that has been awesome. If anybody hasn't gone to Steve's event, I'd post about it probably every quarter in Steve's group. Just go do it, man. Like your connections are going to be amazing for one. And then getting to know Steve and how he works. And then he's a great business mind, right? You only interview people. Nobody interviews you. And you have 3 successful companies.
Right.
Right. It's not like you're a guru, right? Like you can't call Steve a guru.
Yeah. I mean, I think the guru term has definitely been bastardized. It's got a very negative connotation. I still, tried, guru, right? It's like is a guide, someone that can show you the way. And we can, but definitely not the negative connotation guru.
Right. Well, you're doing deals.
Profits.
You're not a false prophet.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. And then your entire philosophy is stay lean to where all these other people have these massive nuts, for lack of a better word, like a monthly nut to, I got to spend all this money just to break even. To where your whole thing is like, bro, I want to be profitable and lean. I will grow stuff.
I just want to make money. I just want to make money, right? Like, and that's just something that comes with maturity because, I'm 40 now, right? 41. But when I was 27, I didn't care, right? Just go all in, shove your chips all in the middle, which is great when you're young because even if you screw up, you can recover.
You just reset.
But it just takes a while to learn. It's like, oh, it's not how much I make, it's how much I keep. Oh, okay.
Well, you hear about all these people talking about like top line, right? And it's almost like realtors say like, well, I sold $100 million worth of real estate last year. Like that doesn't tell me how much you made, bro. Like you're going to talk about all these numbers. I want to know like, what is your profitability? Like what are you running at 20? You running at 5? You running?
Well, what was
like,
crazy?
What's going on there?
Well, I've been in rooms, right? So I'm on the inside. So I see the outside. You see how much they're making. But I've also been inside. I've been in masterminds with them. And when we're vulnerable, I was like, okay, what they're saying in here and what I'm seeing out there don't line up. This doesn't make sense. So I got to experience it, not just myself, because I ran a big team that was not that profitable, right? So I got to experience it. I got to witness it from other people. And the funny thing is I was telling other people, I was like, man, I'm glad I'm getting the wholesaling. There's no more ego, right? Like it's going to be more honest and there'll be less flashiness. And it's not. It's just as bad.
I think it's worse. Wholesaling with social media, I've never seen so much ego in my life.
Yeah. But it is what it is. I think we're going through an evolution, and I think that people are more discerning. Hopefully, we'll see.
What do you mean by evolution?
Well, I think we went from this thing where like only a handful of people knew about it to now everybody knows about it to I think we're gonna get to a point where it's gonna be really hard to do this on your own. And you have to have teams, and it might get regulated at some point. You kind of see this in Illinois, in Oklahoma City, in Philadelphia. Things are changing.
Do you think it should? I think it should be regulated.
I don't think it should be regulated, but I think it's a matter of time. I don't care for regulation. It makes everything harder.
Right. But then we run into Joe Schmo who goes up and locks our deal and then drags the seller out, can't get it sold.
You're right. But that's criminal, right? So like we just need to enforce.
They will get regulated. Yeah.
They just need to enforce. No, there's current laws. Like right now, if you contract somebody who's home and you don't have the ability to perform, that's actually fraud.
Yeah.
But no one's doing anything about that. So if they actually enforce the laws on the books, it'd be enough. But it also requires people turning other people in, and no one wants to do that. But either we self-regulate or the government regulates. And when the government regulates, we're not going to like what they say.
Right.
We don't have a seat at the table.
I feel like your community self-regulates pretty well. Our community does. Like if someone does something, like they're on blast.
I think they could do a better job.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there are people that we know suck, right? And we don't really do a good job of talking about it because we don't want to be the ones out there blasting people. But
it's and Michael were talking about this on my other podcast. So like it's hard. Like you don't want to be that guy to where like you're always afraid to say something around them. But at the same time, like some stuff needs to be brought to light so no one else runs into the same situation. They don't take advantage of another person.
I can't say that I have never reached out to Corey Thompson and say, hey, did you hear about this? Can't say I've never done that.
Right, and Corey will take care of it.
Corey will take care of it.
Corey will for sure take care of it.
Yeah.
What's going on, Ryan? And you're his mentor, aren't you?
Yeah, Ryan. I mean, he's at my brokerage, and we talk twice a month. So
okay,
he's doing big things.
Thank you. And you're a guru. Clubhouse is changing things. It's not about how much you make; it's about how much you keep. So I haven't bought a fancy sports car Strat.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just go get the car, man. It makes you feel good. And so, at what point did you start the title company?
I started the title company not too long after I had the brokerage. I want to say maybe a year or two after. And it was really a friend of mine who recommended it. And I knew it was the right thing to do business-wise to start a title company. But I didn't for a long time because I had a good friend who I was loyal to, right? I mean, he was
just
making a lot of money.
Using them?
Using them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know I would make more starting my own title company, but he helped me. I helped him. We helped each other, right? I mean, when we started working together, I don't know where he was at, but at one point he was the #1 title sales rep in the state of Arizona, right? Like he moved all the way up. But along the way, he helped me grow my brokerage, right? So like out of loyalty, I didn't want to start a title company. So it was like the perfect thing was when he left. He went to go to another market. I was like, thank God, now I can finally start my title company. So I knew it was the right thing a long time ago, business-wise, but I couldn't pull the trigger out of loyalty to him. So.
And so I was talking to a title guy the other day. And I was like, I want to start a title company in Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like no one does the job right. We should just do it, start a title company. And then he told me about all the headaches and all the nonsense. And then you even told me, like, you better have at least 30 deals running through that thing or else you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you got to have a good amount of volume because the revenue is nice, but the overhead is not small, right? You got to do a certain amount of deals. So if you're not doing 20 deals a month, then you're not even like you're breaking even, right? Like that's like, what's the point? So yeah, the money is nice, but you got to be doing a certain amount of volume for you to bring in the money.
And so what are some of the bottlenecks you run into with that so far?
Well, fortunately, I got a great partner who takes care of most of the problems, but the bottlenecks is really everyone's impatient. Everyone, I mean, you see it on the wholesale side, right? Like, when's my title going to be done? When are we closing? Where are the funds, right? And the problem is most of us try to run our business like a business where like this person's in charge of sales and acquisitions. This person's in charge of dispositions. This person's the transaction coordinator, right? Like you try to run this operation like that. And that's whether you're a wholesaler or you're a realtor. What we're seeing on the title side is that there are a lot of wholesalers that are solopreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now they're not dealing with the seller on getting their social security number to order the payoff. They're not getting they're upset that the earnest money is not put on, but it's not the title company's job to get the earnest money. It's your disposition guy's job to make sure that, or your transaction, make sure the buyer's putting depositing the earnest money. So the buyer doesn't deposit the earnest money, they cancel on you, and you're like, okay, well, I'm keeping your earnest money, but they never earnest money because no one ever enforced it, right? So there's a lot of things that people think title companies just do for you. The title company is not a transaction coordinator. Title company is to make sure the title is clear, right? That's their job. And so the frustrations that we're experiencing from the people that work in it, that I hear from time to time, I'm not actively involved in it, is that it's just really unrealistic expectations from realtors, from wholesalers, from buyers. And like, you ever deal with, someone will, maybe on the wholesale side, they're like, hey, when are you guys closing? Like, we're just waiting on the hard money lender, right? And you call the hard money lender, it's like, where's the money? A hard money lender is like, I already sent it. And they got no problems staring you in the face and lying to you and telling you that they did it. And then a title company, what are they going to do? They can't say that guy's lying to you. So all they can say is like, let me go check on my email again. And so the title company is catching the wrath when in reality, the lender just lying to you. And now there's just this weird situation. And the lender and the title company can't throw the lender under the bus because the lender also directs business, right? So the lender is also a client.
And
so
yeah.
they can't be like, here's what's really happening.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated mess. Lots of drama behind the scenes.
How in the world does Scott Oots get his title company to take on so much? Right. I remember listening to his podcast. He's like, they handle everything. Like I don't know what his business looks like now. That was like a year and a half ago.
So that's Scott Oots, on the title other guys as well that do that. And really what you have to do is you have to generate enough volume where it makes sense for the title company to do that. Right.
Okay.
Where they're making so much money working with Scott that it makes sense to provide a concierge. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like you go to Vegas, right? The casino rolls out the red carpet if you're a whale. Right. I mean, they're comping the hotel, they're comping dinner, right? Dom Perignon, whatever it is. You got it. Stratton, you're my guy. You got it. Okay. You and I come rolling in and like maybe, you know, like they'll help us with the luggage. Right.
Exactly.
So it's that, right? I mean, he does so much volume. He's a whale in the market.
He is a whale. And he does fat deals too where they make more money.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got that. And so does all your guys' business run through your title company? I know it's a stupid question, but
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if they're counting on that, forget about it. And we have other friends in our market that own their own title company. They try to steer this and that. We're like, no, this is what's happening. Like our assignment contract, you see like in our assignment contract, it's in fixed print. There's no like blank line. Like,
no adjust.
No, it's right there. It's Magnus Ease. Like that's it. And you know, you've seen our assignment contract. If you want to buy from us, like you better be committed. You better
be ready. You better be ready to go.
Yeah. And you got two no nonsense guys, right? You got me and Max. Like you can't like, man, Steve is really rough. Can you talk to Max? Like, no, F off. Like it's
fuck out of here.
Max and I are both kind of hard asses in the way we do things.
Exactly. And I love it. Your guys can people still get it for free on your website?
Yep, they just got a text. I don't know how much longer this is going to go, but text assignment to 33777.
Right, and it's a strong assignment, right? If you're getting started, or even if you're experienced. I've had people like, I don't want to sign this. Like, well, then don't buy the deal.
Then you're not my guy.
It has some teeth. Like you're just not my guy.
Yeah,
it has some serious teeth.
If you cancel, we're keeping your earnest money, and we're suing you for damages. If you guys if the buyer doesn't have funds at title 48 hours prior to close, we're just going to cancel and keep your earnest money and we'll buy it ourselves. Right. And we can do that because we have the ability, the relationships to be able to do that. But when you got that kind of teeth, and we actually had someone try playing games like, look, you know, I need more time. We're like, no. And so when he tried that game, Max texted me. I went to Chase Bank. I pulled out the funds, got the cashier's check, took a picture of the cashier's check to close that day, sent it to Max. Max sent it to him. And this guy's a big deal, right? Who we're talking about here. Max sent it to him. And it's like, hey, just want you to know, I want you to know, if you don't sign by 2, we're closing on it ourselves. And then he sends Max a text at 1:45. I'm on my way. And at 2:15, he took a selfie with the escrow officer, right? To let him know. But I mean, this is serious business. Another thing too is people forget, because you know we do so many transactions. People forget we're dealing with a homeowner who's got real problems.
Who's relying on us?
It's relying on us. Yeah, he or she is relying on us to perform. And so, like when someone takes it lackadaisical and takes it easy, like no, that's not how it goes. Like I made a promise to the homeowner, and if you can't help me honor that promise, then get out of the way, and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, and I don't think people take that in consideration, right? They don't take in like, well, let's say you buy an owner-occupied house and like they're trying to buy another house, they're moving, they have already got the moving trucks, everything's lined up, and then all of a sudden your buyer backs out. Like, no, I'm for sure taking your money. And then damn near I'm giving that money to the seller to cover their costs.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you got to remember, this is a service. We're in the service business.
Exactly. We are exactly in the service business. And so, and then let's talk about your wholesale company. And then I want to go into a lot of like your leadership stuff and like what you've learned with that. Because that's, I think, at the point you're at now, the only way to scale business is just develop more leaders, right? Like,
absolutely.
Like you can have all the skills you want, but really you have to develop people enough to delegate to them to have them perform.
Exactly.
I feel like every day I'm like, why isn't this fucking person doing their job? Why aren't they doing their job? Like, it's an easy job. Why aren't you doing your job? We've gone over this. And then showing them how to not ask questions. So what does your wholesale business look like now? And congrats on the integrator role. I know that's huge for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So it was, I'll be honest, 2020 was a slower year for us. We didn't do as many transactions in 2020 as we did in 2019. Like a lot of people, texting slowed down a lot. RVM came almost to a standstill. I recognize that in other parts of the country, not so much. But definitely for us in Phoenix, I think everyone does it.
Really?
And so for us, our marketing became a lot less effective. But yeah, I mean, we have mentees from across the country, and they're like, yeah, RVMs work all day. Yeah, people respond to my text messages, right? But for us, it's been a lot harder. So our volume actually went down. But February has been great. I think we locked up 6 contracts so far. And then we had one that we pop off that, Max is really happy about, 55K. So that's a new record for us. So we locked that up.
There you go.
Thank you. So that's a new PR, right? So we locked that up beginning of the month and already closed on it and sold it to a friend of ours, which was cool.
That's really cool.
So we got
RVMs don't work. I don't care what anybody says, they don't work.
So we got Ryan in integrator role now. We got in that corner office, we got 2 acquisition guys. We got Marco dispositions. We got 3 cold callers that, I don't know what the hell's going on with them. And then we got 3 VAs that work for Ryan, which was, I think, one of the things that was really interesting in our workshop we did last weekend was we talked about having Ryan as the integrator and how he has 3 VAs supporting him. They're like, your integrator has VAs? Like, yeah. Ryan's responsible for the outcome, but he's not responsible for the actions. Like, someone's still responsible for the actions. Ryan's just responsible for the outcome.
Well, he's steering the ship. Like, at this point, like, he's determining what's going on with everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And then how'd you find him?
Actually, he was a mentee. So he actually joined Dave Day's private money program.
Okay.
And then after that, he joined our wholesale mentorship program. But he's in our market. And his challenge was that he was always too busy, like, because he had a regular job, which he did really well. He excelled at. Like, he made so much money there selling foundation repair. When he reached out to me, I kind of dismissed him. I was like, dude, like, you're not going to make as much here as you did over there. So I'm not even going to continue this conversation. But he kept harassing, and not just me, but Max. And finally, Max responded to him. And then we even brought him in. Like, dude, I don't know if this makes sense for you. Like, you made so much money in your other business. Like,
yeah,
this doesn't make sense. He's like, I don't care. I hate my other job. It's not about the money, right? It's the lifestyle I'm trying to chase. Like, okay. So we brought him in as a salesperson. We had Gary Harper come out here, do the accountability chart.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary gave us some massive clarity, helped us point out our blind spots where we were really screwing up and we didn't know we were screwing up.
What were your 3 big blind spots?
Our biggest blind spots was that I didn't realize how much Max was overwhelmed. Okay. So it got to the point where Max was responsible for the acquisition team, the disposition team, the cold callers, managing the VAs. He was doing all those things. And really, when I say 2020, we slowed down a lot. The marketing went down, but also we didn't have the right leadership team in place anymore for the size of our organization. And so, I love Max. I got nothing bad to say about Max. I put too much pressure on Max. And Max is a doer. He's a hustler. So right. Max is never just like, man, Steve, I'm tired. Like, you'll never hear those words out of Max, right? Max would be like, I will do it. I will rise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But we just, truthfully, we got so overwhelmed and we didn't know until Gary came out and pointed us like, here are all the things that Max is responsible for. It's like, oh, okay then. So we need an integrator besides Max.
Wow. And then did everybody take the PI test? And he was like, this guy probably makes sense.
We already had everyone take the PI test. And really, we're like, well, maybe it's Ryan. But we didn't trust ourselves either because I am really bad at judging people, Well, I take that back. I'm really good at judging people, but I'm really bad at judging quality as far as employee, right? And so I just think everyone's going to be great at their job. And it's a weakness on my end. So I don't trust myself anymore in that role. And so what we did was we actually had Gary's companies like, hey, look, we're looking at Ryan. We think he's a candidate. Can you interview him? Let us know if we're missing anything. And they interviewed him and it's like, Ryan actually is a great fit. We don't think he has the necessary experience, but if you guys can teach him the skills, we think he has the right tools, the right attributes. and he stepped in and he's crushed it.
Wow. And so what's your pay structure like with him?
He gets 10% of all profits.
Okay.
No base.
No base.
No base.
So just drive the ship, eat what everybody else kills, but you got to drive that damn ship.
You got to drive the ship. And if we don't close any deals, like we're all suffering.
Right. We're all suffering. I like that. And so you got him. And so what got you into, who's your guy? Darren Hardy? Is that your big one?
Yeah, that's
what got you started into him.
I think I saw Darren Daly. I want to say probably not Darren Daly. I think I saw Insane Productivity a long time ago, maybe like back in 2016 or maybe a little earlier. And this is since back when I was doing a lot of traditional real estate. My buddy Justin Kua in Toronto, like, hey, let's check this out. So I did, and the guy really speaks to my mindset, right? Because I'm not the rah, hey, let's jump up and down and whatever. It's really like, just do the work, get out there, crush it, right? Be a better leader. And a lot of the message that I put out there is really just channeling, Darren Hardy. But what really attracted me to him is that here's a guy who's learned from the most successful people, the titans of our times, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Like, he interviews these guys, right? Yeah. Phil Knight, and he takes what he learns from them. It's like, here's how to do what they've done. It's like, okay, yeah, give me all of that. Right?
Give me all of it.
I don't need anything else. Just give me that, and I'll figure out the rest myself. And so that's the reason why I follow him so much. And
how much do you spend on yourself a year? As far as self-development?
Probably slow down a little bit. I think last year, maybe like 35,000.
That sounds low for you, man.
That's low for me. Yeah, I used to spend more. So it slowed down a little bit, but at this point, I'm trying to find the next thing. And, someone suggested I join Tony Robbins thing, which I'm not a big rah-rah guy, but they're like, yeah, I mean, for 75,000 or 80,000, you get to hang out with Tony Robbins and Warren Buffett. It's like, okay, I mean, that's a pretty good argument.
Right. That sounds like a great deal to me.
Yeah. So I'm looking at that.
Is it like a mastermind? What is it?
Yeah. Tony Robbins has several tiers, right? And so I don't know if that's platinum or mastery or whatever, but it's not his biggest package. It's like his second biggest package. All right. He's got an even bigger package, but it's like 4 times a year. You travel the world. So that's what I'm looking at. Potentially down the road when I feel comfortable traveling more.
Okay. That'd be pretty dope. That sounds worth it to me. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Do it together.
Hell yeah. What leadership books do you recommend?
So my favorite one still is John Maxwell's Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And John Maxwell is the guy, right? When it comes to leadership. But the problem I had with him was that all his books kind of sounded the same.
Yeah.
And so of all those books that I've read, there's one that people recommend that I haven't read yet. But the one I've read, the one I like the most is Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And ultimately, the 3 lessons is if you talk to anyone that works for you, here's the 3 questions that a stranger should be able to ask, and you'll know if that person still bought into your vision. Is do you care about me? Can I trust you? And can you help me? Right? And if your guy isn't answering yes or a resounding yes to all of those, you got some problems. You got someone that's got their eye maybe on Indeed, right? Maybe checking out what the competition's doing. Maybe sending some DMs to your competitor. All right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with you guys, where you have acquisitions people bouncing around down there.
We do have acquisition people bouncing around, but we're pretty happy with our situation. We don't really have.
I'm not talking about you guys, but like in Arizona, like people go from like company to company, like trying to find like the best splits and whatever.
Oh, of course, because it's transactional, right? And it's not necessarily anyone's doing anything wrong. It's just you gotta get to the point where it's not just about the money anymore, right? You gotta inspire leaders. You gotta create leaders. And I think when that's happening, it's because you're not demonstrating enough care, and it's not compassion, right? Like it's just like, do you care for my general well-being? Like, if if my kid gets sick and I need time off, are you gonna be like, you're always taking time off for your kids? Or you can be like, hey, do what you got to do. If you can make up the hours later on, that's great. If you can't, like, whatever. But like, I have all the time, people will say, hey, I got sick, I got to deal with this. Like, okay, go ahead, go do it. Right. Just make sure we get caught up, but spend time for you with your family. And people know, like, I'm a family first kind of person. Everything I do is for my family. And so we have that culture here. And I think that speaks volumes. And I think that's the reason why we have more loyalty than average.
Right. Especially with down there, man. And so, can you help me? Can I trust you? And do you care about me? That's big. I like that one. I'm gonna have to read that. And then, what's been the hardest part of all of your businesses? Right. Like, which one's the hardest? And then, what's the hardest part of each one? Yeah, I really want to know that.
Which one's the hardest business? I'd say probably the brokerage is probably the hardest. But I would say there's kind of I'm kind of going through a bit of an evolution myself, right? So, so I remember I saw a post probably like a week or two ago, and someone made the comment as like, "There's a reason why your friends don't refer you business." It's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good.
Oh wow!
And it's because they remember you as the knucklehead from when you were younger, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense. And then B, you are now a reminder of who they could have been. It's like, ooh, that's powerful too.
Oh.
Right? That was a great meme, right? To just be scrolling through Facebook. And so I think for me, my biggest challenge as I'm kind of going through this journey is I had a lot of people that knew me before the podcast, and I argue still the same. I'm the same person, right? I might be a little bit more mature, but I'm the same person as I was before I started the podcast, right? Like I'm not the guy that has more money and now I start splurging and like, drinking or whatever, right? I'm still the same person. I've never talked bad about anybody before. I'm never gonna talk bad about anybody now, right? I'm still the same guy, but everyone remembers me as Steve Trang, the realtor and real estate broker. And so we have some turnover because people are leaving. They're like, man, you've changed, right? Like your focus has changed. And that's true. My focus has absolutely changed, right?
Okay.
And so we have people coming over, we talked about earlier, our brokerage has grown a lot. People that are coming now, it's like, man, I want to connect with Steve Trang, this guy who's, all over social media, who has all these connections. Like I want to connect. I want to be as close as possible to this guy. So I'm attracting that, and that's great. But what hurts, and we're talking about what's tough, is watching other people that have known me from before leave, because in their mind, like, you're no longer the same person. But like, I'm still the guy that took you from 30,000 a year to 300,000 a year, right? You feel like, because I don't care about traditional real estate as much, that I can't help you, but that's not true, but whatever. So we have people leave, and it sucks, right? But it's just part of the evolution. That goes back to the kind of, people still remember you for who you were versus who you are. So I'd say that's the toughest part.
Wow. And so I've never even thought about that. So you have people legitimately leaving you because you are too investor focused, or they think you're too investor focused, but in reality, like, you're just more in the light in that aspect of your business where really nothing's changed.
Yeah. I mean, I've made this joke multiple times that I love everything about real estate except for houses and people. Yeah. Right. And so I've always been an entrepreneur who happened to help people buy and sell houses. Yep. But I was an entrepreneur first. Realtor was just a vehicle.
I love that.
And I'll always be an entrepreneur, right? Like, I do everything in real estate because it just makes sense to do more in real estate. But when they ask me why I got into real estate specifically, like, one of the things I've told people in the past, like, the barrier to entry is really low.
Super low.
Really low. And also, have you met some of these realtors? Right? And so that's why I got into real estate. But it was kind of like a fallback move. It wasn't like back in 2020 or in 2000, like, man, I can't wait to grow up and be a realtor. Right? So traditional real estate was a means to an end. And I think it's still a means to an end for a lot of the people at a brokerage. And I help them grow that. So the people that are with me now, like Ryan Zolan, for example, he's crushing it on the retail and the wholesale side because I understand both sides and I can help him with both sides.
Yep.
But the other guys that feel like we've grown apart, it's like, it sucks to see them leave. At the same time, and this is going to sound terrible, I can count on one hand how many people that have left me and became more successful.
Bro, we were talking about that the other day. You're like, I could fill a grave with the amount of people who've left me and not done shit. And you talked about like, oh, I'm dead inside. I've gone through so much. I'm so stoic about it because that said situation was my first bad business situation. I was like, where the hell did this come from? And you were just like, nah, bro, it's part another day. Move on.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Dude, you get so calloused in this business. It's just what happens.
That is just what I'm still not quite there yet.
You will.
So I was going to ask you, how do you know how a good realtor would be like, or how to find a good realtor? But obviously you suck at hiring people, like you said, so you don't really know.
Well, I do suck at hiring people because I think they're all going to be great. But I can tell you what the single determining factor we see, generally speaking, for success is people that will lean forward, right? They're always moving forward, because what happens is the analysis paralysis guys, I love them, but they just don't get anything done. Like Trump, love him or hate him,
dude,
got stuff done.
Right?
It might not have been the right stuff. It may not have been the right stuff.
But he was making moves no matter what anybody said. He was making his moves.
He got stuff done. And so the way I look at it is, you can tell, and this is why you see so many D's, right? If you're talking about the disc personality, why there's so many D's in the industry, in our business, is that if you move forward and you screw up, you will realize you screwed up, and you can do a U-turn or a 3-point turn and go the right direction. Mm-hmm. But if you don't move forward, you don't make mistakes, and you'll never know it was the right or wrong move. So you can stand there at the intersection and just kind of like, should I go this way or that way? Like this and that. Just dive in, right? And then you'll know if it was the right move or not, because you'll figure it out. And if it was the wrong move, you can fix it. But unfortunately, that's just not how most people are wired. And so I would say that's the single biggest determining factor. I can tell if someone's the kind of person that's always moving forward, or the kind of person that's observing. And it's a personality thing. It's really easy to say, you always hear these gurus say like massive action, massive action, massive action, massive action. And you hear my message is consistent action, which is, again, just stealing straight from Darren Hardy. Consistent action, consistent action, consistent action. But that's what it takes. You don't need to triple jump 27 feet, right? You just need to put one foot in front of the other. And it's easy for us to say that as well. But the reality is there are certain people that are just wired to not take that step forward. They're wired to stand on the sidelines, and it sucks, but that's reality.
That's cold. But you turn people away, though. Like, I know you turn students away. Like, you're not a right fit. Like, I know you're not going to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. Like, the pressure on me, right? And I remember when I was talking to you, I was talking to other people as well. And, like, I'm talking to a lady who's like, I need this to happen. I need this to happen because I don't know if where rent's going to come from or whatever. Like, I cannot handle that pressure, right? Like, if you're relying on me to change your life, I'm not saying I can do it, but I sure as hell I'm not guaranteeing it, right? And so I can't ask you to invest your last dollar with me or max out your credit card with me. I can't ask you to do that, right? I won't be able to sleep well with that. And so we turn people away that, like, as a matter of fact, we put on an application now, like, how many deals have you closed? And if the answer is 0, they don't even get a call with me, right? It just goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be your last hope.
Yeah.
I don't need that pressure.
I used my tax return to get into your thing, right? But it was that I posted.
You didn't share that with me.
I posted a meme the other day of the $500 client and the $50,000 client. Mm-hmm. Yeah, have you seen that one going around?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw Antonio posted that too.
Yeah,
I told him I wanted my $50,000 refund.
But it's the truest thing, right? To where a lot of the people think you're going to change their life when more of it is you just got to give them a guide map and they just got to go do stuff.
Right. Yeah. I can help you, but you still got to dig. You still got to push. You still got to do all the work. I am not a secret pill, magic pill person. Like our mantra is still do the work. Right? I can just help you do the work more effectively, more efficiently, get you to the promised land faster. But I am not one to say like jump in the car and I'll drive you there. Like go sign up for some other gurus program. That's not our program.
Well, the biggest thing is just knowing the work to do is what I run into most of the time. Like that's why I pay people. Like what work do I need to do to get to where I want to be?
Right.
And you're like, go do this, this, and this. That's the work you need to do. Come back to me when you're
take your pills. Call me in the morning.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that's what's really going to help you. What's going on, Raphael?
Big dude.
What's going on, Jeremy? Right, big boss. Another mentor of mine. A lot of people have an issue with falling forward because of the failure part. A lot of people aren't like big with they haven't failed, right? I feel like they've never even gone after a goal and failed and had to live with it and eat it and sit with it for a while and then have to go back at it again. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, and they haven't failed. They haven't had the pain in their situation right now isn't big enough. So this is kind of a tangent, but you want to hear something that almost got me killed in college?
Yes.
Okay, so you're probably a little competitive.
A little.
Right? A little bit. And Raphael told me like the first meeting with me, like you're too competitive. Right? So, I'm in a class, this is college, and they were saying like competition is bad. And it wasn't like the teacher saying competition is bad. It was like, you guys read this, there's people, there was like, you read these two papers. One guy says competition is good for society. Other person says competition is bad for society. You guys read this, and we're going to debate about this in class. So we had a debate in class. And then, all these people, like some of these people were like, competition is bad because of this, it hurts people, blah, blah, blah. And so I made this blanket statement, which I think almost got me killed, which I said that anyone that's not competitive has never won anything in life. And that's why they're not competitive. Stares I got basically saying you guys are a bunch of losers. That did not go as well as I thought it could have gone.
But it's not entirely wrong.
Yeah. But I think it goes back to the people on the sidelines that are going to be reserved. I think those are people that it's not that they're afraid to lose necessarily. Maybe they're afraid to lose, but like I think the competitive guy is okay with losing because he'll embrace that to become a winner. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think the kind of guys, people on the sidelines, maybe aren't competitive, are happy with status quo, and that's all right. And again, I want to emphasize there's nothing wrong with that mindset because there's room in society for all of us. There's not like, if you can't do this, like
there's one Jeff Bezos, right? There's one Jeff Bezos. Like we're all pushing, and some people aren't pushing, but there's really only one Jeff Bezos.
Right, but we need people that are gonna like. You can't have your data person be as competitive and fiery as you. If they are, like, who are you gonna hire to be the data person? Like, there's room for everybody, and this is something that we talk about the DISC profile is like you can't judge people. And what happens initially every time I see this is the first time we learn about DISC, like we're always judging each other. Like it's not a judgment thing; it's a recognition thing. It's recognizing this about yourself, recognizing this about other people.
Oh yeah. Well, and Andy Frisella, he was like, some people are just like they pack boxes and they love their life and that's what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And like they're happy, they're probably more blissful than me and you. They don't hate themselves with competitiveness, all that. And it's okay.
Yeah. I still remember, right? Like someone asked me a long time, like, why am I busting my butt so hard? And I told them, like, I wish I could be okay chewing on edibles, playing PlayStation in an apartment. I wish I could.
Right? Don't you wish that felt amazing? Like, don't you wish like you would be okay and not just sit there and have your brain melt and hate yourself and like, oh man, I gotta go do something. I gotta do more. Yeah. This dude over there is doing more.
I wish I could do that, but no, it's always gonna be like, I gotta go chase that guy. I gotta go catch that guy. Right. And I put it out there. I'm putting it out in the universe, right? I'm coming for Grant Cardone, right? Like,
hell yeah.
We're always pushing each other, pushing ourselves, and I don't know. That's just kind of how we are. That falling forward type of deal.
Yeah. What's going on, Justin?
Mr. Baker. Love that guy.
What's going on, Warner? I got a couple more. How do you balance your family, man?
You got to put them in first. They go on the calendar first.
So what does your day look like and everything else? And then I'll ask about your morning routine. Like, what does your day look like and where are you putting them?
So I think for a lot of people, when they're newer, you kind of have this perfect day, right? Like, prospect 2 hours every day and whatever. Like you kind of have this perfect day. But as you become a business owner, you kind of have a perfect week. So I have like a perfect Monday, perfect Tuesday, perfect Wednesday, perfect Thursday, perfect Friday, right? And so for my family time, and COVID kind of screwed things up, but it used to be Tuesday afternoons, pick up the kids from my in-laws and then take them to piano lessons, right? They had private lessons on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, I go to my in-laws because they take them after school, pick them up, take them to Kung Fu lessons, and then piano lessons, then regular piano lessons. Mm-hmm. And then on Saturday mornings, take them to Kung Fu lessons and swim lessons. And so that's on my calendar. Saturday, nothing is allowed to be scheduled on my calendar. I will bite someone's head off if they schedule something on my calendar on a Saturday, right?
Okay.
Sunday mornings is family time. Now I have openings from 2 to 5, and that's only for sales calls. That's the only thing I do on Sundays, the sales calls. So like my calendar is crazy during the week. If someone really needs to talk to me, generally that's kind of when they book, right? It's Sunday afternoons. But that's it. And outside of that 2 to 5 on Sundays, it's family time. And so you got to be intentional. You hear that the story, right, of the college professor who, you got the rocks, sand, and water. Yeah. Like what do you put in first? And you can't put the water in first and then the sand and the rocks. It just doesn't work. So what you got to do is you got to put the big rocks first and then the sand and then the water. And so for me, the family are the big rocks. You put the time with the family and then you schedule everything around it. Another way to look at this, and this is something that was a revelation. I got this from Darren Hardy in the Insane Productivity Training. And this is like a first time I heard it, it was like mind blowing, but it's really easy to overlook. So most people have their business and they fit their life where they can fit it. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of what you do. I've got my ideal life and I fit my business where I can within that.
I love that.
It's Parkinson's law, right? It's short and simple. It's like too simple that someone might listen to it. It's like, what does that mean? But really, that's the only way to do it. If you want balance, that's the only way to do it. You got to plan how you want your life to look and then fit your business around that.
Without a doubt. Do you have a morning routine?
It's not as good as it once was, but I think part of it also is because my calendar is the way it is. You got too many darn things going on, but wake up at 5 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I go sprints. I run sprints. I do HIIT training.
Do you really run sprints?
I do run sprints. I topped out at 20.3 miles per hour on Monday.
Okay, because I went on the Wholesale Run Club, and like me and you were kind of hanging.
We weren't doing sprints then. Yeah, we're doing sprints now. We're doing 20-second sprints. It's not really 20 seconds because I can't make it 20, but 20-second sprint, 70 seconds walking. So 20 sprint, 70 walking. We do 10 of those. Right, but it's all out sprint. So like I said, on Monday, we topped out at 20 miles an hour. We did not hit that yesterday. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays I do other stuff. So Thursday, I was uploading the podcast, but I just delegated that, so I don't do that anymore. Tuesdays, I was reviewing financials. Thank you. And then after that, I come home, wake up the kids, right, about 6:55, 7 o'clock, wake up the kids, get them ready for school. And when I say get ready, I mean like, hey, put your clothes on. Hey, go do this. Hey, go do that. Like, I'm not helping, right, directing. And after I get ready, but then every day of the week, except for Tuesday, once daylight saving changes, I won't be able to do on Tuesday mornings. But right now, Monday through Friday, I take them to school, and what we listen to on the way there is Darren Daily. So I listen to Darren Daily with my kids every morning. And you hear like right now, you see people complaining, parents complaining, like the schools are brainwashing our kids. That's not news. That's been going on forever, right? Forever. But what can we do if we want to defend against that? The only way to defend against that is to educate our kids ourselves, teach them the right way ourselves. And so I get a lot of help from Darren Hardy on the weekdays. And then when we have challenging situations, right, I'm there. I'll tell you this, I don't think my wife liked this. So on Tuesday, my daughter Amelia told me like, "Hey, this kid kicked me," right? And I said to her, like, "This is kid. Like, what grade is this kid? Is the kid in your class?" And I said, "Amelia, I just want you to know you have my full permission to punch that kid in the face next time, right? A kid kicks you, punch him back." My wife did not agree with that bit of advice, right?
How'd your wife say to handle it?
She said, "Oh, did you talk to the teacher?" And Amelia's like, "I did talk to the teacher." Right? I mean, she handled it the right way, but I'm telling her, like, you got to stand up to bullies. That's what I dealt with growing up, right? I remember I had people like, try to push me around.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying I want any fights. What always ended up happening was they would always start something and I would always be ready to go. But I never got in any fights because the moment I stood up for myself, they backed down.
Back up.
And so that's what I'm trying to teach my kids. But, I told her just go ahead and punch that kid in the face. She's like, "I can't do that. I don't want to get in trouble." I was like, "Okay, well, next time that kid kicks you in the face, I'm just telling you got my permission."
And you're a son of immigrants, aren't you? Are you an immigrant?
I'm an immigrant.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I was born in a refugee camp in Italy.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
When did you come over here?
7 months old.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Man. So we got
and I think that chip on my shoulder is what helps.
I mean, you see all those immigrants who are the most successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a ton of immigrants come in and they are insanely successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the chip, bro, and it's the nothingness.
It's the chip, but there's also that the American dream here doesn't mean anything, but from the outside, it's pretty cool. So the immigrants come here to chase the American dream, but when you grow up here, like, it's no big deal. It's like
it's the greatest country in the world, though.
But it's the same thing. Like if you go to Vegas, right? The first time you lose a $5 chip, like, oh, that sucks, right? But eventually you become callous to it, you get used to it, and now you got to put 10, 50, 100, whatever. So America has just always been cool growing up, like it's no big deal. But we come here from nothing, and we came here on the promise of an American dream, and we're damn sure going to cash in on that American dream. You got to remember, like, we came from nothing, right? I mean, communism, soft socialism, took everything, from my grandparents in China. And then the same exact thing happened in Vietnam to my parents. So we come here with everything taken away from us multiple times. And there's a promise here that if you bust your butt, you can have anything you want. And why would we not do that?
Right. Why wouldn't you just take advantage of it?
Yeah.
It's weird thinking about people not wanting to be entrepreneurs to me.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you take advantage of, because you can create anything. Like, it's out of nothingness, and then you make money and you can control your life instead of having someone tell you to be in the office on Thursday.
Well, we're seeing that now with Gen Zs.
Yeah, a lot of them.
We're seeing that with Gen Z. So we judge a lot of millennials, right? We judge a lot of them, which I don't think is their fault because they have screwed up parents. Because their parents did that to them, right? But Gen Z is seeing it on social media, for better, for worse. But you see all the flash, you see the cash, you see all this and that. So we're seeing a lot more entrepreneurial, more capitalistic.
And speaking of Gen Z, let's talk about your TikTok game, man. How many followers do you have right
now? 28,000 and change.
And why did you go so hard on TikTok? Because you're going hard as fuck on TikTok right now. I see. It's top of the funnel, right? Like, I don't plan to monetize on TikTok. I mean, I think I made like $50 in creator fund, right? I don't plan on making money on TikTok, but I look at it as this is the long game. Okay.
Everything you do, we start with the end in mind. So the end game is I want more followers on Instagram and I want more followers on YouTube. Because if I can send social signals, which is all this is, if I get a bunch of TikTok followers moving over, right, to Instagram and TikTok, we're telling Instagram and YouTube that Steve Trang, the brand, is relevant. Okay. And that's all I'm trying to do. I am just trying to get more viewers, more followers. And the more social signals we get, at the end of the day, it will help us accomplish our goals, right? I'll be able to create more millionaires, and I'll create more freedom for myself and my family. So it does all those things. So it's just the long game. It's not, hey, let's do this for fun, right? It sucks. Making TikTok videos every day sucks.
How many do you make a day? I hate it. I can't.
One.
I need to get better. You make one a day and you put out one a day?
One a day. And I've been slacking this past week. I think I've only done 2 or 3 so far. But
that's hard work. How long does it take you to make it?
About 20 minutes. But right? To make like a 30-second snippet.
Right. Like 20 minutes to make a 30-second snippet. Where do you come up with your ideas? Like I sat there and I thought about this shit the other day. I was like, I need to do TikTok. I was like, what the hell am I going to do?
So A, you can just steal from everybody, right? But B, what I did is I actually time block for content creation. So I put on my calendar 6:30 every day, think about content. 6:30 a.m. every day, think about content.
Okay.
What's happened is your brain does this weird stuff. So I don't even look for content anymore at 6:30 in the morning, but just putting it on my calendar has forced me, you know, we talk about the reticular activator. Like if you're going to go buy like a red Ferrari, you're going to see red Ferraris everywhere. So by telling my brain that I'm going to time block looking for content, now I get content ideas throughout the day. And now that I get content ideas throughout the day, I just put it on my Trello board. So I got the Trello app on my phone. Every time I have an idea, I write it on the board. And then when it's time, I have time block for producing TikTok videos. So I have time blocked in my calendar. And so when that time comes up, open the Trello board. What do I feel like talking about? All right, let's talk about that.
The hard part for me, at least with creating content, is like telling myself, no, Stratton, this really is work. Right? Because it feels like busy work, but then like it has to get done. It's the only thing I can't delegate. Like I have to do it. I have to be in front of it. And then eventually I'll be able to delegate the pushing the buttons of sending it out. But like it's all on me, dude. It is the weirdest thing. And I feel like I'm what are you doing, bro? You're making Instagram videos? Like you're making quotes of the day? Like you time block this? Come on, bro.
Yeah, you do. But that was a revelation I had a couple of months ago. Was like, this is my number one income producing activity. My number one income activity is recording the podcast. Or behind it now, is producing content. That's an income activity. So people ask me like, you know, does it ever get better? Does it ever get easier? Do you enjoy it? Like, no, it's like cold calling. You just do it. You never grow to love cold calling. You just freaking do it. And that's what it is with creating videos.
Okay. All right. Why is being an investor so much better than being an agent? I remember we talked about this, and I have several friends who are. One of my friends just stepped out of his brokerage completely. He was like, "Bro, it doesn't make me as much money, flat
out." Because you got to remember what it is that we want, right? Do we want to show a lot of houses and have a lot of bosses? Because that's what the realtor thing is, and that's why like I kind of like laugh when people leave our brokerage. Like, you guys don't care about regular real estate anymore. It's like, it's not that I don't care about it, but you're choosing to go have a bunch of bosses. Because when you're showing buyers and you're showing sellers, those are your bosses. Those are not peers. Those are not colleagues. Every client is in one way or another your boss. And so you're choosing to have more bosses for a less hourly income. That's the conscious choice you made. Well, maybe it's not a conscious choice, but a choice has been made by somebody that you're going to have more bosses and make less per hour. I personally cannot agree with that choice. So on the agent side or on the investor side, I get to make more money, fewer bosses, and our clients love us. The best testimonials I get are from sellers that we rescue them. The person who I set a new record in a neighborhood, right? But it took a week longer than they expected. They had to fix the thermostat or the doorbell, and the appraisal came in $3,000 low because we sold it higher than any other home in the neighborhood, is unhappy with me, right? I'll get a 4-star review. This lady over here, who I'll make $80,000 on the flip, loves me to no end because I was able to help her out of a difficult spot. And she will remember me forever.
Exactly. Morning. And then while we're wrapping this all up, why the sandwich sales system and what makes it so good, man?
You know, I'm going to say some things here that might sound a little blasphemous here. So I am working hard to be the best sales trainer in the country. So I am picking up some classics, and I'm slowly starting to discover that Sandler's just like the rest of us. Took the best of other people's stuff and made it his own. So
what?
Yeah. So I'm getting.
Who do you take from?
But right now I'm getting really deep into neuro-linguistic programming.
So he took it all from like NLP.
I won't say he took all of it, but there's a lot of it in there. There's a lot of, take it to the future. Like, hey, if we can do this, can you see that? Or if you can see that, how would that make you feel? Future pacing.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff in there. It's crazy. Like as I'm going through, it's like, wait a minute. This sounds like the pain funnel. So, but the reason why Sandler, I mean, he's the best, right? He was a pioneer. You can't take anything from him, right? Like the guy crushed it. And so why Sandler is because we get to be open, we get to be transparent, we get to be completely honest with a person.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt, we get to be completely honest with the person, and the prospect is in full control. The prospect's driving the car. That's all we're doing, and that's why I love Sandler. Like no one's sold, they bought, and you've heard this before. Like no one wants to be sold, but everyone loves to buy. Sandler is the best overall system to help people buy on their own.
I mean, you got me sold, bro. You got me sold. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given in business?
Oh, yeah. You should spend as much time as possible trying to figure out how to be as lazy as possible. Yeah. So, because if you can do that, then you can do anything.
You can do absolutely anything. Who would you most want to sit next to on a 10-hour flight?
A 10-hour flight? Oh man. I've always said Benjamin Franklin, but I've never said it for 10 hours. So, 10-hour flight. I'm not sure. I'm gonna lean on Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, Ben Franklin. Why?
Because he was the first self-made millionaire.
Okay.
He was first self-made millionaire, and the guy had some really brilliant stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And he was a founding father.
What stuff do you do every day? Yeah. What stuff do you do every day that you wish you could automate?
Exercise. I wish I could delegate exercise.
Okay. And then when you think about success, who comes to mind and why? Who's not Ben Franklin?
When I think of success, who comes to mind? It's gonna be one of the Titans, right? It's gonna be Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. Someone that inspired me a lot, even though I had a horrible relationship with her, was my grandmother, and we had an awful relationship. Like, I'm kind of bad, I was not the ideal grandson. But when she passed, I looked at what she accomplished, right? Because my grandfather passed when my dad was like 8. And so she helped everyone get over here, and every one of her grandkids did well. Every single one. Okay. Right? There wasn't a single one that became a drug addict, or,
yeah.
If you don't like college, like fine, but every single kid went to college. Like every single grandkid went to college. That's kind of crazy.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So she was really impactful. She was nasty. She'd be like a female Trump. But she got it done.
She got it done. And where can people find out more about you? What 3 books do you recommend for people starting to get into business? Shout out your book first, and then
Active Listening 2.0 for sure. The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. Love that book. And then it's boring, but Traction. It's boring as hell.
I've read it a couple times. There's just so much shit that needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Did Gary help you with that? Because that's what I'm running into, bro. Like, there's just so much shit that needs to get done.
He helped us a lot. And look, I love Gary Harper. I said this to him. He didn't tell me anything I didn't know, right? It's that thing where you need the professional to come in.
Yeah.
Like, I've read the same books. I've learned the same things, right? But there's a reason why when Phil Jackson comes in, that the Bulls three-peat and Kobe three-peats. There's a reason why, right? Because even if you're good at your craft, you still need a coach. And that was Gary Harper for me. Like, he came in and saw what I was doing wrong. Things that, and I always liken this to the jump shot, right? Because I love basketball. It's like something as simple as like, why aren't you bending your knees more? It's like, I don't know why I stopped bending my knees as much, right?
Yeah.
But that's what a coach does. Coach says, hey, you're not following through. Why did you stop following? It's like, I don't know why I stopped following through in the jump shot. But you short arm things.
Yeah.
Right. And that was Gary Harper for me. Like, it's not that he taught me anything I didn't know. It's that he is so clear as such a great coach that he can come in and spot what I'm doing wrong.
Of what's happening.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is happening. You're short arming it, bro. Fix this. And
yeah.
again.
And we can fix it because we know how to do it.
Yep.
But we weren't doing it.
Right. And he just gives you, again, like, you're paying money. Tell me what I need to do to get better. Like, just tell me that and I can just go take steps.
Exactly.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Gives you confidence, gives you clarity, gives you confidence. That's what a great coach does.
And how does he give you confidence?
Well, because he reminds you what you're doing wrong. He's like, oh, I can do that. Yeah. Boom. Done. And honestly, both our businesses took off when he pointed out those blind spots. Right. Our wholesaling company improved overnight. And then our education side, everything's way better now. Everything has a process now.
He might be the move. Well, he is the move, honestly.
Yeah, he is.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. You really did change my life going to your event. Since then, like, my trajectory has been up completely, and it's built out my network, and I've met so many amazing people because of you. Where can people find out more about you? And when's your next event? I think everybody should go to it. Our
next one-day sales training is Friday next week, so March 5th. That's our next event. And then our next workshop, we're looking at May, somewhere in the middle of May. If you go to disruptors.com/workshop, the date should be there.
Okay. You have any parting words, man?
I say the same thing all the time. You know, we live in the greatest country, and there's greater times ever, in the best time that's ever been. Right. So go get yours, because why not you? Hell yeah. Thank you, Steve. And if you guys are looking for cold callers, go to callmagicians.com. Thank you guys for tuning in.